At precisely 4:12 Galactic Standard Time, 12 unidentified ships entered the Tau Ceti system, fast, silent, and bristling with weapons. Within 90 seconds, Eden 6, a peaceful human research outpost, was under siege. The attackers, the Xalari Dominion, expected a swift and bloodless conquest. To them, Eden 6 was just another soft target: crops, scientists, unarmed civilians. What they didn't know was that the outpost was a trap, a baited hook tied directly to Coplita, Earth's most classified military protocol. By the time the first distress beacon reached Earth, it was already too late for the Xalari. Within moments, Earth's retaliation was set in motion, not with panic or confusion, but with chilling precision. The war didn't escalate. It ended. In just 14 minutes, every enemy vessel in the system was gone, erased with a fury that left even distant observers speechless. Across the stars, alien empires watched in horror, not just because of what Earth had done, but because of how fast, how decisively, and how silently it had been done. He calmed before the shock space had gone quiet. Not in the natural stillness of the void, but in that eerie, suffocating silence before a lightning strike. The Xalari Dominion had always considered humanity primitive, resourceful perhaps. Clever in a way rats were clever, but ultimately soft. A species that built, explored, and debated rather than conquered. To them, Earth's rise from a scattered collection of nations to a unified spacefaring force was amusing, like watching an insect climb a mountain and think it ruled the peak. That arrogance led to one of the most catastrophic miscalculations in galactic history. The colony of Eden 6 orbited the habitable moon of Tarsus 4 in the Tau Ceti system. Known for its lush vegetation and deep geothermal pockets, it had become a hub for human ecological research. Families lived there. Botanists studied alien crops. Children played under twin suns. There were no defenses, at least none visible. On Stardate 743.2012, Xalari warships decloaked just outside the moon's magnetosphere. They descended like hawks onto a rabbit's nest, jamming communications and cutting power grids in seconds. There was no warning shot, no demand, no declaration. Just fire and ruin. To any observer, it would have looked like the massacre of a helpless colony. But what the Xalari didn't know was this: Eden 6 was never meant to be a colony. It was a surveillance installation, part of Earth's secret sentinel net, a spiderweb of AI-piloted nodes scattered across space to detect hostile intent before it reached core systems. As soon as the first plasma torpedo hit the atmosphere, Eden 6's emergency beacon transmitted 3 words: hostiles breach confirmed. It didn't transmit coordinates. It didn't explain. It didn't need to. Within 0.7 seconds, the beacon triggered Protocol Solstice, a classified defensive procedure that bypassed the usual bureaucratic maze. Earth's unified command didn't need debate. The threat was confirmed. The line had been crossed. The gloves were off. And the galaxy was about to learn what humanity really was. Humanity unleashed. The Xalari's assault lasted just over 2 minutes. It was more than enough to flatten half of Eden 6's infrastructure. Civilians fled into underground bunkers, not realizing they weren't just survivors, they were bait. From orbit, the Xalari fleet began deploying landers. They weren't interested in prisoners. This was a message to the galaxy: no one is untouchable. But even as they celebrated victory, an invisible counterclock had already started. At T+0 hours 3 minutes and 17 seconds, Earth's Black Relay Deep Space AI network confirmed the Eden 6 beacon. At T+0 hours 3 minutes and 19 seconds, Earth's Unified Command activated War Protocol 1-Fora, codenamed Hellwake. 14 hyperspectral dreadnoughts jumped from dark space, a region outside conventional slipstream detection. These weren't standard warships. They were silent, AI-governed, and capable of interstellar repositioning without leaving a trace. The lead vessel, UES Vindicator, commanded by Rear Admiral HAliens, an officer who had never once issued a surrender order in her career. The Zalari didn't detect their arrival. They never had the chance. At T+0 hours 4 minutes and 40 seconds, the Vindicator fired the first shot, a gravitic imploder round that didn't explode in the traditional sense. Instead, it folded a Zalari cruiser into itself, shrinking a 900-meter warship into a sphere the size of a fruit. No warning, no radiation, just silence, and then nothing. Panic spread through the remaining Zalari vessels. Their command ship scrambled for evasive maneuvering. The enemy wasn't supposed to be here yet. Earth was over 30 light-years away, but Earth had changed. For decades, while alien species flaunted their centuries of war, humans invested in stealth, automation, and reaction time dominance. They'd grown tired of being underestimated. And when Earth joined the Galactic Compact, they didn't submit. They listened, learned, and quietly prepared. What no one had realized was that Earth hadn't just been building ships. They had been building time. The Vindicator's neural AI, KAIA, predicted the enemy fleet's every motion before they moved. A single destroyer dived behind Eden's moon for cover, only to be met by UAS Valkyrie, which had already jumped ahead of it. At T+0 hours 7 minutes and 3 seconds, 5 Zalari ships were gone. Their famous psi barriers? Useless. Earth's new resonance-piercing beams bypassed energy and matter entirely, delivering destructive information waves directly into enemy systems, killing ships without touching them. Across the quadrant, alien civilizations tuned in. The Zalari had broadcast the attack live on private military feeds, expecting a show of dominance. Instead, those same watchers now stared in silent terror as the galaxy's most aggressive empire was being erased in real time. By T+0 hours 8 minutes and 55 seconds, the Zalari flagship attempted to retreat. It never made it. A ghost ship arrived, UES Requiem, a prototype cruiser designed for no survivors, no warnings, and no mercy. It launched a new weapon, codename Vanta, a directed void collapse missile that didn't destroy the Zalari flagship. It removed it from existence. No wreckage, no explosion, not even radiation. Just void. Back on Earth, in a quiet underground command bunker, a group of advisors stared at the countdown. Rear Admiral HAliens' voice came through the secure line. Target fleet neutralized. Requesting permission to stand down. Unified Command's reply: Operation Hellwake complete. Total war duration 13 minutes, 47 seconds. Echoes through the stars. The Galactic Council convened in an emergency session within hours of the Eden 6 incident. The chambers of Verast Prime, usually filled with polite posturing and slow diplomatic ritual, now trembled with unease. Footage of the 14-minute war had gone viral across all species, even systems that had no formal communication with Earth now had access to the clips. Zalari cruisers collapsing into neutron-silent balls. Human warships appearing from nowhere. A fleet vanished by a single beam of impossible energy. The worst part? There were no screams, no flashing lights, no visible effort. It looked like Earth had swatted an empire the same way one might swat a fly. Inside the chamber, High Speaker Javor of the Thalan Confederacy broke tradition and slammed his fist into the marble table. How did they do this? Earth had no death fleets in our intelligence. We monitored their movements, their slipstream traffic. There was nothing. An aide responded meekly, "With respect, sir." Perhaps they didn't move the fleet. Perhaps it was already there. The room went silent. Already there? That meant Earth had pre-positioned assets across the galaxy. Secret fleets, ghost ships, silent drones, not for invasion, no, but for something worse. Colon revenge. Xelar, diplomats, what few remained tried to call it a misunderstanding. But even they couldn't ignore the facts. 94% of their task force had been wiped out. The surviving 6% were in containment aboard Earth medical ships, treated with respect, but never permitted access to communications. The Council demanded a statement from Earth. They received a single transmission, delivered from a quiet outpost near Alpha Centauri. The screen lit up not with a military general or political leader, but with a civilian woman, calm and collected. Her name, Dr. Alina Marek, head of Earth's Interstellar Ethics Council. Her voice was soft but unwavering. We did not start this war. We did not seek conquest, but we will protect our people. What you witnessed today was not a display of dominance. It was a warning. Leave us in peace or prepare for consequences beyond your understanding. No threat, no posturing. Just a clear line in the galactic sand. Alien news feeds exploded. On rimworlds where humans had only recently opened trade routes, terrified locals began shutting down embassies. On pirate stations, human supply ships were suddenly given docking priority. Even the Valari, longtime rivals of Earth in technological advancement, issued an emergency communique to Earth's embassy requesting non-aggression agreements. Across the stars, one phrase began to spread: hushed, terrified, and always whispered. Shadows. Behind the silence, while the galaxy trembled in fear, back on Earth, silence settled over the United Council chamber. There was no celebration, no speeches, no flags waving in the wind. What the galaxy saw as victory, Earth viewed as a necessity. Rear. Admiral HAliens stood alone in the observation deck of Lunar Station Prime. Below her, Earth spun peacefully. But in her mind, every frame of the operation replayed like a storm. The calm detachment of ice strike patterns, the disappearing Zelari flagship, and worst of all, the knowledge that humanity had crossed a line, not just technological, but moral. We ended a war, she whispered to herself. But we've also declared that we're not afraid to end the war had ended. Not with a battle, but with a demonstration.